Hello and welcome to another episode of Fantasy Fights by King KZ, the kind of series on this channel where we take characters in the One Piece verse who we have seen and are interested in, and we wonder what it would be like if these characters ever fought. And I just give some of my thoughts, my opinions on how things would go based on stuff that we've seen and kind of who would win in the end. And today we have a very interesting one, which is a three-way fight between some legendary characters in the One Piece world, being Mihawk, Kizaru, and Rayleigh. And for this one, I will be taking the old Rayleigh that we see in the story, not him back in his prime, back in his heyday. Of course, before I do start the video, I would ask you to subscribe, and if you are wondering whether there are spoilers in this video for you, where you are in the series, just look down in the description. I do put like a spoiler warning for people who are not up to date, so check that out, and I do that for all my videos on this channel, so check out my other videos as well. Now, because of the spoiler warning, I will try not to mention things that are too far ahead in the series. So if I spend time kind of over explaining something, for you people who are further ahead, don't worry, I'm just not trying to spoil stuff for people who are further behind and use stuff that will, give away some stuff that happened later on in the series. That being said, I think this is very arguably one of the more difficult ones and contentious ones, since these characters are arguably harder to scale because we know too little about their full capacity. Mihawk being the greatest swordsman who's never really been seen to try at all. Marineford, Zoro, all these things where he's been seen, he's never really tried to fight. Kizaru, of course, we know his personality makes him seem like he's never really doing anything seriously. That's why people make jokes that he's high all the time. And then finally Rayleigh, who is a retired guy who always talks about how he's retired and old and he's nothing like he was when he was younger. And so if you disagree with this video, I will not be surprised. Just tell me what you think would happen and how you think this would go. Also, for future videos, let me know any matchups that you guys have down below so that, we can get on to those ones as well and I can, discuss those in future episodes. So, I think the goodness with this matchup is that we at least have a kind of interaction between Rayleigh and Kizaru, because a lot of things Rayleigh did is incredible, but he did them isolated on his own. The whole thing in Ruskaina, the whole thing in the auction house is he was really strong, but we never really saw him with everyone else in the One Piece world, except for that moment with Kizaru and Sabaody, which is great for this whole matchup because it's a three-way. Now, of course, that one had its own constraints, and I will talk about some of those constraints, but for this one, I think I want to assume that for some reason, the world government, the Navy have decided that, today's the day we take Rayleigh in. So they send Kizaru to take Rayleigh. For some reason, people talking slander about Mihawk's title, saying he's not the greatest swordsman, Rayleigh is. So now Mihawk is going to prove that he's the greatest swordsman. At the same time, who knows, maybe the Navy is just like, yo, keep an eye out for Mihawk. After these warlords did some of their things, I don't think we're going to take some of their trash anymore. So some of these warlords, they're going to have to come in. So if you find Mihawk, bring him in. So, Kizaru is going to fight Rayleigh. Maybe he sees Mihawk, and so he has to fight both. Rayleigh has to fight against Rayleigh to protect himself and maybe Shaki as well. Mihawk's trying to fight Rayleigh but also defend himself from Kizaru and kind of beat him as well. So that is kind of a nice way in which we can say this works and the three-way battle makes sense and, give it context and everything. So that being the case, I think that, starting with Kizaru and Rayleigh, because that is the easiest, I will say that, at least in the fight we saw, that one, the context of that kind of thing on Sabaody was Rayleigh wasn't really there to beat Kizaru. He was more there to protect the Straw Hats. So a lot of the times in the fights, he was talking about, oh, I need to protect the Straw Hats. If only I was younger, I would have been able to do more. And then Kizaru was just like, oh, don't make me look bad. He's saying all these things like you protect them and all that, even though I'm here, Navy Admiral. But at the same time, those little moments where Kizaru just wanted to ignore Rayleigh and do his own thing. So it's kind of like, does he really view him as a threat? Does he not? What's the context going on here? Because at the end of the day, it didn't seem like any of them were like trying too hard. Now, I do think of these three, especially like as far as stamina and endurance is concerned, I think that Mihawk has the highest, being the youngest, and Rayleigh has the least, being the oldest. So I do think that if this battle went on for long enough, Rayleigh would lose. Because Rayleigh is about 78, if I'm not mistaken. Kizaru is about 58. And Mihawk is about 42 or something like that. Somewhere there. Those are the ages roundabout. So essentially, Rayleigh is 40 years older than Mihawk, almost. And 20 years older than Kizaru. So Rayleigh is an old man. So I don't think he can last in a very prolonged battle. Which, Mihawk probably has the advantage there. Now, from Rayleigh, what we do know is that, based on his experience, he knows a lot. He's got good haki. And he just seems like a very good all-rounded person. Great swordsman as well. So, but the thing is that this is a Navy Admiral, with Kizaru. So I think that in the context of that kind of battle between the two of them, I feel like Kizaru probably has the edge. Since, he's a Navy Admiral, he's more in his prime, he has a Devil Fruit as well. And in the fight that we saw with him, he wasn't really trying that much. Because as much as Kizaru, does all these things, he doesn't seem to be trying, because a lot of times he's facing weaker people than himself. And we've seen the ability for the admirals, to go from like fighting and, doing crazy attacks against weak people to fighting and doing crazy attacks against people like Whitebeard. So it's kind of like, I feel, Kizaru wasn't probably taking that as seriously as he probably should have been taking it. Because it's like, if you can ignore someone of Rayleigh's stature in the middle of a fight to go and chase after these guys, and you can spend so much time just over Zoro, just like, yeah, I'm gonna step on him and destroy him, but not really. I'm gonna give you guys time to stab me and see that I'm a low here and you guys can't touch me. I feel like it wasn't as serious. He wasn't being as serious as he should have been. And I think that if he was, he would have overpowered Rayleigh. And Rayleigh would have lost. That's my opinion, right? But then we have to throw the whole fact that Mihawk is in there and that Mihawk wants what he came for. And so Mihawk coming in that fight would change things again, because Mihawk is the greatest swordsman in the world. Now, as far as haki is concerned, we saw that the admirals have great haki in Marineford, where they stopped Whitebeard's attack. They put their hands forward and stopped the whole quake. But Mihawk, being the greatest swordsman in the world, I assume he has incredible haki in his sword as well, that he can use, and probably some of the best, if not the best, in the whole One Piece story. So as far as haki, and endurance, Mihawk has Rayleigh beat. Possibly even Kizaru beat as well. So as far as strength is concerned, Mihawk could possibly be above both of them. But then if you have a situation where both of them come after him in the fight, then that may change things a little bit, and Mihawk may be at a little bit of a disadvantage then. But I don't think that Rayleigh would ever consider coming after Mihawk in a fight, because as much as it's a three-way fight, you have to consider personalities, and Rayleigh would try to take, I feel, the easiest way out of this whole fight, which is, try to pit Mihawk against Kizaru and let them duke it out, and then just kind of like run away in the process, or maybe just sit on the sidelines and eat some popcorn. So I think that someone like, it would never be 2-on-1 with like Kizaru and Rayleigh versus Mihawk. So I don't think Mihawk will ever be at that great a disadvantage. That being said, Kizaru does have a Devil Fruit, which makes him really quick, makes him really versatile, and makes him very dangerous as well. So that kind of danger posed against Mihawk, who again, we've never seen him try, but we can estimate some stuff about some of Mihawk's abilities. So I think that based on that, maybe Kizaru's destructiveness is, comparable to Mihawk's, even though Mihawk may have better haki. So in that case, I would say that in a fight of Mihawk versus Kizaru, we'd kind of go for a more, equal standing, considering it's a three-way fight. Because this is not one-on-ones. As much as I'm talking about one-on-ones, I'm taking it in the context of a three-way battle. So I think that in that context, in that part of the three-way battle, it would be more or less equal. In the context of Kizaru and Rayleigh, I'd give the edge to Kizaru. And then if Rayleigh and Mihawk ever went at it, I would still give the edge to Mihawk. So overall, I think Mihawk stands the best chance of winning because he's kind of like on the sidelines of this fight, but he's also kind of like better than both Kizaru and Rayleigh overall. You know, more equal to Kizaru, but better than Rayleigh, I guess, because of just how old Rayleigh is. Because Rayleigh is actually older than Whitebeard and Marineford, right? He's much older than Rayleigh. Not much older than Whitebeard, sorry. He's kind of like 4 to 6 years older than Whitebeard. So Rayleigh is an old guy, and we saw how much, you know, age affected Whitebeard. So I'd lean more to Mihawk. Overall, in this 3-way battle, I'd lean more to Mihawk winning it, simply due to, you know, context, personalities, and that kind of thing. Of course, you know, if Kizaru got more serious and said, you know what, I can't let you guys just do what you want, and then Kizaru goes serious, and then I guess in that sense it'll be Mihawk and Rayleigh versus Kizaru, which I think that they can win. Based on Rayleigh's experience, I think he can win. Now, if we're talking about Rayleigh back in his heyday, oh, that's a conversation for another day. But I think based on this matchup, based on my thoughts, based on what we've seen off of their vague abilities, I'd say Mihawk is coming out number 1. At some point in the fight, Rayleigh might go down or might have to try run away because he'll run out of like energy, and so, you know, by default Rayleigh would lose of the 3, and then Kizaru would be somewhere in the middle. And I mean, those are just basically my overall thoughts on how a 3-way between these, you know, 3 legends essentially, because at the end of the day, whether you lose or win, these are 3 legends. This is literally the greatest swordsman, one of the strongest powers in the whole of the Navy that keep the balance of power in the entire world, and the right hand to the most legendary pirate of all time, right? So these are 3 men, and losing this battle is not, there's no shame in it. There's absolutely no shame. But guys, let me know what you think. Who would win? Who would lose? What kind of things would you think that would affect the battle, which I haven't talked about, or I have, but you think it would affect the battle differently? Also, if Rayleigh was in his prime, how would you think that changes stuff? Do you think that it would change things at all? Do you think it won't? What do you think will happen? Also, let me know of other future fights that you want. I have a few funny ones I'd like to throw in. Okay, maybe not funny, but just funny characters kind of fights. And yeah, I'll plan for those. I'm trying to release a bit more videos this week, since last week was really busy week. So guys, just let me know all your thoughts, and I'll do future videos for you guys. As always, please like the video and subscribe for more content. And if you know someone who needs to hear the truth on this, share this video with them. If you have time, watch one more video. If not, thank you for watching this video thus far. This is King KZ, and I'll see you in the next one.